was a fantastic project. It came to us at Disney in the inception form. We really didn't know what it was going to be because, back in the day when you pitched a project, you literally had 5 minutes to grab whoever was listening to you, and then it was pretty much over in a good way or a bad way. When Mark came in with his beautiful partner Barry, he came in with a boom box that was masked together with tape.
Okay, I just want to say something. No offense anyone, but just Barry happens to be a girl.
I said that he was beautiful. Oh, sorry.
Well, it had me thinking.
She definitely was a girl. She was very beautiful. And
I love his defensiveness.
The two of them coming in with the boom box. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? And he proceeded to pitch Brooklyn as a one-man performance art piece. And 5 minutes turned into, I don't even know how long it was, maybe an hour and a half, which is unheard of, right? And by the time it was done, we kind of scooted him out. We were in a hotel suite. We kind of scooted him out of our hotel suite, and my partner at the time and I looked at each other and said, "What was that?" Like, it was so crazy good, right? Just insanely avant-garde, unconventional, genius when it came to creative, and it had a cohesive story. So it just was brilliant. And that's who Mark is. And throughout the years, we remain friends. We've had the opportunity more recently to be able to work together again. And I really wanted to honor Mark, especially after this last year. He was very sick and in the hospital, and he pulled through by the grace of the universe. So I wanted to start kind of a community in his honor. And the name really is birthed from that, if that makes any sense. Because I believe that all of us, in some way, shape, or form, or capacity, we are all the anti-guru. We are all creative. We are all unconventional. We are all misfits in our own way, and perhaps have not allowed to be those things. And being that I and Mark have reached a certain age, it's like, cover the baby's ears, cover his ears. We don't give a fuck anymore what people think about us, So
Good point.
we are here today to honor all of us, and we're so grateful that you all have come out to spend your Saturday with us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mark Schoenfeld, who will then introduce one of our anti-guru family, Richie Petrella. Also, this evening's event, the theme of this evening's event is giving back. And it's very important for us that we always give back. And we always feel better when we give back, right? We always do. So we are choosing to give back to the relief effort for the victims of the Texas floods. There is a QR code right there on the bar where that beautiful Jean Marco is sitting. And any contributions are greatly appreciated, and they will go straight to the relief effort. Okay, so Mark, you're up.
So, just to let you know, only a few months ago I had a stroke. And according to my doctors, not according to me, they say it's the most remarkable recovery they have ever seen. Now, I didn't know I was that bad. you know, other people have told me my speech was slurred or my face was drooping. I had no idea. And good people took me to the hospital, cared about me, these doctors cared about me. I am not a religious person, but somebody up there likes me because I don't know how it is. I can't even imagine how bad I was and what I go through now and just rehab and all of this is it's so hard to explain. But also, strangers have come to help me and they become friends. Friends have come to help me. I was estranged from my daughter. I was a single father, raised two kids by myself. And believe me, I'm not like the type of guy that knows how to raise two kids. And I was estranged from my daughter, and she has come back into my life and saved me and nursed me to health. So I say I'm not a religious person, but that's a miracle. Now, this all will make sense. When I had this show on Broadway, Brooklyn the Musical, the people who would wait at the stage door to meet me and the cast were mostly born-again Christians. And they felt that I must be one because they felt that they were watching Jesus on stage in the music and the story. And I had to disappoint them and tell them that I'm not. In fact, that I'm an atheist. And they were very disappointed.
Mark,
Yes.
you're the farthest thing from Jesus.
Okay. But that makes me sound like a devil. I'm no devil.
Well,
I just happen to like girls, that's it.
okay.
All right, so anyway, what happened is that a family was waiting for me. And this family, father, his wife, the husband, his wife, he's the father, she's the mother of these three girls, were waiting for me. And just like others, they thought I must be born again Christian. And I had to disappoint them, tell them that I'm not. In fact, I'm an atheist. And it was my show got the worst reviews in the history of the New York Times. And the reason that it lasted as long as it did, and then went around on a tour around the world and all that, was because the born-again Christian community let their community know what this show was about. And they told people that had mega churches, and that's what made the show last. So it's fascinating that someone like me would, meet these people and all. And I'm going to introduce one of that family right now. So Richie Petrello was the father of these three girls that were musicians. They're now here in LA. They lived in Long Island at the time. And he's a fascinating guy. He comes out of, this is very common, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He was the saxophonist for Billy Joel and Paul Simon. And he recently wrote a book called The Confessions of a Rock and Roll Preacher. And so if you met Billy Joel or Paul Simon, they would know Richie Petrello as the Rev. He had his own church in Texas and then Long Island. And with this book, I met him recently because he moved, him and his family, to Los Angeles. And so I met him again, and he's just a fascinating guy. And like I've done for many other people, I want to help him get into this game of show business with what he does. So I'm going to bring him up here right now, and he'll explain more of what he does. And that's my goal, is to make him not just what he is, but to make him successful in Hollywood. And everyone here knows that's not an easy gig, to become successful in Hollywood. Hollywood just has, doors stopping you from being successful. But we all want it because we're all creative, as Laurie said. Everyone's born creative. So, Richie, Can you please come up here?
Mark, you're so special. Would some of you guys like to grab a chair and sit down?
Oh, thank you, Rich.
There's
Yeah,
chairs around the
There's
perimeter.
chairs in the back.
Come on.
There aren't enough.
This is a wonderful place, and I just want to thank Redman and lovely wife for allowing us to be here tonight. Mark, you never told me that. That was so touching. You know, meeting with Mark, I would meet with Mark every day since, I think back in March, right? We would just meet at Nate Now's at 8 o'clock in the morning. And there at Nate Now's, we'd sit across from each other and just spitball ideas. And he looked at me
Based
and
on
he
your
said,
life.
huh?
Based on your life.
On my life. And I'm like, my life? But the thing that happened was, at one point, Mark was giving me some input on some of the ideas of, you know, the book and how to present it. And we were talking about a book, had lots of chapters. It's something I've been procrastinating for a long time. You know, always busy on other projects and never prioritizing. And he sat down with me and Mark D'Agostino, who's a prolific writer, you know, New York Magazine, New York Times, yeah, bestseller. And he sat down and he said, Mark, tell Richard what he needs to do. And he basically said, you just need to talk in the tape and put it down. He said, because you're freaking interesting, man. You're really interesting. So Mark looks and he goes, see, I told you. So Confessions of a Rock and Roll Preacher is what we came up with. And I want to be honest with you. I never set out to be a preacher. I've always been a musician. And since I was a teenager, I played. At 16 years old, I was playing in the Union in New York City, and I was living the dream. I'm going to read you some of the excerpt from what we came up with, and I really think it could touch you. I played gigs, I traveled, I soaked in the energy of the stage. I think I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and that was it. I said, I got to do this. I want to do this. Really, I truthfully was impacted by music. And I felt like in the middle of success, I was interrupted. Like, I'll say it the way I know how to say it. God interrupted my life. And the book is a collection of wild, painful times, some miraculous, supernatural interventions with people, and it's about the highs of rock and roll. It's about some of the stories, the backstory of what we did, you know, being on the East Coast, New York, you know, Greenwich Village, one door opened to another, one thing opened, and out from that, I had an encounter, and it was either you're gonna, you know, live life in the fast lane, or you're gonna kill yourself. I mean, it was that crazy. But I found out that through it all, I was on a journey to become what I was supposed to become. And I can only be the best representation of who I am. And I want to thank God that with Mark and his intervention, I don't believe Mark's an atheist, I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to talk religion tonight. I'm not here to preach to anybody. But you know, God's love, and this man is filled with love. And he's got a different way of doing things, right, Scott? Anybody who knows Mark? Mark is the anti-guru. There's no doubt, right, Lori? Yes. And I just want to read you something that I think will really touch you. I got a call one night from a rockabilly band, very famous one. And my band was off. I was signed under a record deal. I was just 19 years old. And they said, come down to New York City, bring your horn, go to a thrift store, whatever you gotta do, but you gotta wear a sharkskin suit. And it was the first MTV live shoot. So I responded, I got in the car and I went, shot down. It was down in the village, and I went there. And it was the first filming of MTV. It was exciting, and it was at Max's Kansas City on 14th Street, and it was a big deal. But something happened to me, and I was being tugged on my heart, like where I was going, what I was doing, what I was heading. The gig was electric, the crowd was incredible, everything was cranky. I stepped out into the night at 3:30 in the morning, got in my sports car to head back to the Hamptons where I was playing the whole summer. And I didn't want to hang out, I didn't want to go to the after party, I didn't want to, I just felt like, wow. Took my clothes off, I had eyeliner on, stage light, makeup, the whole bit. And I was driving down the expressway, Long Island Expressway. And something told me to turn off the exit. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning now, in the summer. And there was a church with this huge cross, a little church, big cross. And I pulled up in that parking lot. And when I did, I went up to the front door of the church, and I wasn't a churchgoer, but something drew me to this place. Opened the door, the place was open. It was pitch black. I walked in there, and there was a light coming from like a basement. So I was exploring, and I felt like I was feeling something supernatural. I wasn't high. I didn't party. And I went down there, and I saw a light under the door. And I heard talking. I heard this guy talking, to these other guys. And I knocked on the door. And when he said, "Open the door," "Who's that?" And I stuck my head in. And it was the pastor of this church, who was an ex-rock and roll musician, played for Norby Walters and knew Billy Joel and the whole bit. And he looked at me and he said, "God in heaven, save his soul." Because I looked so bad, I had the eyeliner and everything. And I said, "I'm sorry to interrupt you." I didn't mean to interrupt you. I said, "I just felt drawn to come here." And he said this to me. He said, "Bro," he said, "there's something that is drawing you, and all you gotta do is take a quarter and put it in the phone and burn the bridges behind you. And you're gonna live a life that you would never even imagine." And that night, I was spooked. Got back in the car, drove back to the Hamptons, woke up, and I was playing 5 nights out there. Living in a house in the Hamptons, they paid for everything. But I'll tell you what, whatever that guy said so impacted me that I couldn't live with myself. And through a series of these events, I was just totally transformed in the blink of an eye. One morning, not long after that, my friend, my roommate, he said to me, "I want you to go hear this preacher." And I said, "Really?" I said, "I don't want to go to church," because we were still playing Sunday night, Monday night. It turns out we get in the car and we drive for 2.5 hours. And when we get to this big, huge tent that had 3,000 people in it, my hair was down on my shoulders. I was wearing the Jordache jeans back there in the 80s, with the snakeskin boots from JJ Flash, and I had a tank top on. Me and my buddy walk in, and the people bring us right to the front in this big tent. There's like 300 people on the stage. And all of a sudden, we're late. We walked a half a mile to get in there. We're sitting in the front row. And it was Little Richard, the architect of rock and roll, who's going to be the guest speaker on this. And he didn't tell me, he surprised me. So we're sitting there in the front, and they introduced Little Richard, wop ba luau or bop bam boom. And first thing the guy goes, "You stand up." And I was like, "Me?" And there's like 3,000 people. And people are sitting on the platform. There's a big choir up there, all the big guns of whatever was putting on the event. He asked me to stand up. And you know what he said to me? "You gotta give it up." You gotta give it up. You gotta get on the right path or you're gonna die, boy, you're gonna die. And he starts preaching at me. And I was like, and people were like, yeah, you know. Everybody was kind of, I get in the car and I'm driving back with my buddy now 2 hours and I was stunned. He goes, do you understand that guy picked you out of 3,000 people and pointed his finger in your face? It just shows you got something special on your life. But the truth is, did that change me? I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, it's like, hello darkness, my old friend. He always shows up again, you know. So today, this is some of the story that we've been able to harness and put together. And do you feel like I'm interesting you with the story? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Because we want to break the barrier with this thing. So I was asked to play a little something, and I think I'm going to play a little song. I was having a little trouble with the internet, but I think we could pull something on it. But
Richie, also tell how you met your wife and how that changed.
How about let him play first part, okay? And then.
You want me to do that?
Yeah, play first, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, Maestro. Carlos is
Thank you.
I love him. I will. In fact, I want to read what we wrote concerning Kathy. I mean, it's real. The song I'm going to do it's an arrangement that's wonderful. Mark is the one who turned me on to it. And it was Tina Turner at Wembley in front of like 100,000 people. And it's going to surprise you because you all know the song. But the arrangement is so good. I said, man, I got to use this. The title of the song is Help. And you realize after a while, we all need help. We can't do it alone. You know, we need help that way and we need help this way. And I said, that's a very simple approach, right? And that's what we want here. That's what it's all about. So let me try to get this thing going with the technology and hopefully you'll enjoy the song. I never needed anybody's help in any way. And now the time has come for me to fix this tape. Something happened with electronics, but I really don't give a flip. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please, please help me?
Yeah.
What a song.
Yeah.